In the early 15th century, the world witnessed something truly extraordinary. While European explorers were still navigating coastal waters in small wooden ships, China launched the largest fleet the world had ever seen. Hundreds of massive treasure ships, each the size of a football field, sailing across the Indian Ocean. But then it all stopped. The greatest navy on Earth was dismantled. The records were erased. Why? And what if it had never stopped?
That's the million-dollar question. Historians have debated this for centuries. If the Ming Dynasty had continued its voyages, could China have discovered America before Columbus? Could the world have seen a Chinese global empire? Or was this a strategic decision that saved the Ming Dynasty from ruin?
Today, we unravel the mystery of the Ming treasure fleet and explore an alternate history where China ruled the seas. First, let's talk about the fleet itself. This wasn't just an expedition, it was a statement. Under command of Admiral Zheng He, the Ming Dynasty sent over 300 ships, including the legendary treasure ships, some measuring up to 120 meters, 394 feet, long. That's at least 5 times the length of Columbus Santa Maria.
Right. According to the Ming, history of the Ming, Zheng He's fleet set sail 7 times between 1405 and 1433. These weren't just trading ships. They carried soldiers, diplomats, and treasure to showcase China's power. They reached as far as the east coast of Africa, exchanging silk and porcelain for exotic goods like ivory and giraffes.
A giraffe?
Yes. In 1414, Zheng He brought a giraffe from Africa back to China, presenting it to the Ming Emperor as a qilin, a mythical creature symbolizing prosperity.
So, not only was China exploring the world, but they were also reinterpreting it through their own lens. This was soft power at its finest. But then everything changed. After Zheng He's final voyage in 1433, the ships were decommissioned. The shipyards were shut down. Future naval expeditions were banned. Why?
There are several theories. One major reason was internal political struggles. After Emperor Yongle, who supported the voyages, died in 1424, his successors, especially Emperor Hongxi and Emperor Xuande, weren't as enthusiastic about maritime exploration.
And there was also the growing power of Confucian bureaucrats, right?
Exactly. The scholar officials at court argued that these expeditions were a waste of money. The Ming Dynasty was facing threats from the Mongols in the north, and they believed resources should be focused on defending China's land borders, not funding expensive ocean voyages.
So, they basically chose to turn inward, despite having the most powerful fleet in history?
That's right. By 1500, a strict maritime prohibition policy, known as the hygiene, was in place. Anyone caught building large, ocean-going ships could be executed.
From ruling the seas to banning ships. That's a massive shift in policy. Now, let's imagine a world where the Ming Dynasty had never stopped its voyages.
Well, first, let's talk about the obvious. China could have discovered the Americas before Columbus. Some scholars suggest that Ming ships were technologically advanced enough to cross the Pacific.
Which means we could be living in a world where North and South America have a strong Chinese influence today.
Possibly, but it's not that simple. Even if the Ming had reached the Americas, they might not have colonized it the way Europeans did. Unlike Spain and Portugal, Ming China didn't have a culture of aggressive expansionism. They were more interested in tribute relationships than outright conquest.
But wouldn't continued exploration have led to a stronger navy and eventually a Chinese colonial empire?
It's possible. Had China maintained its naval dominance, it could have controlled the Indian Ocean trade routes. The European age of exploration might have looked very different if the seas were already dominated by the Ming.
If the Ming had continued exploring, the global balance of power might have shifted dramatically. China could have played a much larger role in the age of discovery, potentially altering world history.
But there's another possibility. We might be overestimating how sustainable the voyages were. The treasure fleets were incredibly expensive, and without a profitable colonial system, even a powerful navy might not have been enough to maintain long-term global influence.
So, are we saying that shutting down the treasure fleet was actually the right decision?
Not necessarily. But history isn't just about what was possible, it's about what was practical for a given time. The Ming Dynasty was built on Confucian ideals, which valued stability over risky ventures.
A fascinating what if, but also a sobering reminder that the greatest fleets and empires can vanish in an instant. So, what do you think? If the Ming had continued their voyages, could they have become the dominant global power?
Or was shutting down the fleet an unavoidable consequence of their political system? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like and subscribe. More mind-blowing historical what-ifs are coming your way.